What's up, everyone? Welcome back to 1YL or 1 Year Later. This is a podcast show amplifying the voices of people taking adversity into their own hands and changing their world and the world around them. And today's special guest, who we get to hear about her last year, is the one and only Bridget Sloan. Bridget, how the heck are you?
I am so great. Honestly,
Good.
I'm so great. Thank you. Corey, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking.
Good.
It's good to be here with you.
Oh,
Well,
I always love when we can hop on the call, on
I
a
know
call, anything. It's great. It always
it
makes me
happens more often than I think people realize, but we love it.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we do. Okay, so you guys know the drill. This is not about accolades, but I'm going to tell you some about Bridget anyways. Bridget, to give you guys some context about what we're about to chat about, which we have not prepared for this whatsoever, so you're going to get to hear just a candid conversation with Corey and Bridget. You're welcome.
I was going to say, and you're welcome.
And you're welcome. So Bridget is an Olympic silver medalist from the Beijing Olympic Games in the sport of gymnastics. She also was the world champion in 2009. That means she was the best gymnast in the entire world, year after the Olympics. Congratulations, you did it.
Thank you.
She also has a bunch of national championships from the University of Florida. She is like a million-time All-American from there. She is now, she works a full-time job. She's a very normal human in that sense. She also has found a massive hobby in CrossFit, which was her little fitness outlet coming out of an illustrious gymnastics career. And what else do I want to talk about? I think that's a good platform to jump from.
Yeah, it's a big chunk of information.
It's a big chunk.
Yeah.
It's a big chunk.
Perfect. It's perfect.
She's awesome. You're going to love her. You're going to fall in love with her if you don't know her, and you're going to love her even more if you already do. Okay, let's cut straight to the chase. Okay, Bridget, the first question. I want to know where you were 1 year ago in terms of where were you physically, where were you mentally, emotionally, how were you doing? But do you remember where you were in April of 2020?
I was in my apartment, probably by myself. I have a roommate, still have her as a roommate. She is wonderful. I'm pretty sure. So let's see. The world pretty much shut down in March.
Mid-March, yep.
Mid-March. Okay. So mid-March to April. Yeah. I mean, I was probably, and again, my memory is absolutely terrible. It actually kind of concerns me a little bit how bad it is. But I do remember this time last year, I just had a million questions for myself that I couldn't answer, which was very frustrating. I had a million questions about my current job, which I've had this job now. It'll be, I think, 3 years, 4 years, 3 years, 4 years, one of those, coming up in May. So I think if I had to kind of describe what I was doing a year ago, it was kind of panicking. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know if my job would continue. I mean, at the time, again, I work a sales job, and there are so many jobs that got cut off because, you know, they didn't need them or because it just wasn't working out and they couldn't pay. You know, a lot of factors were going into that. So I was very unsure financially if I'd be able to continue living the lifestyle that I was living. And not only that, but I am a very much so extrovert. I like being around people. I like being in social settings. I have an amazing group of friends here in Orlando that I absolutely love more than anything. So I do remember in April, it was kind of like, I wonder when I'll see my friends again.
Yeah.
When will I, and not only my friends, when will I see my family again?
Right.
Being from Indiana, moving to Florida, I don't see them that often without a global pandemic.
Right.
Throw in a global pandemic, and we went many, many, many months without seeing each other physically. Obviously, lots of FaceTimes and whatnot. But a year ago today, I was definitely in a state of uncertainty and borderline panicking, just wondering what was going to happen. I don't like the unknowns. The unknowns are very scary to me. I like having a plan. I don't like surprises. I like knowing. I like having an agenda. I like having a schedule. So when you call your boss and say, hey, what's it look like for the next month? And they say, I don't know. Whew. Very scary. It's just a little scary. So yeah, that's kind of where I was a year ago.
I feel like a lot of people can probably relate to needing a plan in their life for sure. And so a lot of people's story last year was the rug kind of got swept out from underneath of them in that sense, right? I'm sure a lot of people probably heard from their boss of like, I don't know, like we're going to start working from home and then I don't know when we'll come off. Like there was no like concluding sentence there. The other thing that I remember that you were doing 365 days ago is you were not broadcasting at the national championship.
No, I was not.
Which was a huge piece of the end of last season. Obviously, you had graduated from your gymnastics career and from the University of Florida years prior, but I say years like it was an eternity ago. It really wasn't that long ago.
So long ago. I am so old.
But one of the things was when that senior class was done, that also meant that your job opportunity in what you get to do for working for ESPN, you weren't going to work at regionals and you weren't going to work at nationals. And, you know, having that perspective of like, oh, this poor senior class and these gymnasts who have been training to compete at the national championship is one piece of your heart for sure. Another piece is like when you're in a turmoil of financial stability and trying to figure out what work looks like and what life looks like in a pandemic, I'm sure that was like a very conflicting place to be. So like, where was your heart in terms of like gymnastics wise?
So I distinctly remember the day that SECs got canceled because I was supposed to broadcast, I believe it was Big 12s. Yes, it was Big 12s. So I was supposed to broadcast that. And I just remember I was driving home and my phone was blowing up at an abnormal rate. And I was like, I understand that I have friends and I like to think I'm popular, but I was like, something is happening in the world that like, I mean, I honestly considered pulling over, but luckily Orlando being Orlando, I got stuck in traffic. So I was like, oh, perfect. I'm at a standstill. Might as well put the old car in park. I looked at my phone and I had probably 15 emails from ESPN saying SECs are canceled. Big 12s are canceled. This season is canceled. And it honestly, I didn't really know how to react because it was something that I never, ever thought could happen. And I know that's a very naive way of thinking about it, but I really, you know, this whole last year was very eye-opening to me. I learned a lot. I grew a lot. I took some really big steps in my life, which I'm very happy and fortunate for. But as a former athlete, former gymnast, I can't imagine my season being canceled or cut short. I should say it was cut short because up to that point, we were traveling. We were, I don't want to say we were living our lives, but we were. I mean, I was living a very normal life. I had my sales job. I worked for ESPN. I was kind of living my own dream. And I loved being able to connect with the athletes and see the coaches. And, you know, yes, you have your immediate family, but your gymnastics family is really cool. And that's something that I will never take for granted ever again because I miss being able to go up to coaches and say like, hey, it's so great to see you. I'm so excited for you guys tonight. Best of luck. It really put a different perspective for me on just appreciation. But being an athlete, I mean, I can't imagine. So knowing what these athletes have been through, what the seniors last year went through, I mean, my hat goes off to them.
Yeah.
It really is impressive.
I feel like they all like handled it with class, like from the
absolutely.
outside,
Absolutely. And I can honestly say I probably would not have handled it with class. Knowing me and knowing my personality, I've been told or known that I'm a little bit of a spitfire, which I take that as a compliment.
Yeah, do it.
But I mean, when life throws curveballs at you, you can either dodge them or you can adjust and kind of work with them. And when I say dodge, you can't dodge a curveball. I mean, it's coming at you, and it makes me really nervous when athletes, are like, oh, I dodged that one. I'm like, maybe we should kind of take a step back and instead of being so afraid of change, kind of embrace it.
Yeah.
As much as change is scary, and again, I was an athlete for a very long period of my life. I had a schedule for a very long period of my life. I knew what I was doing almost every day.
Yeah.
And then I graduated college, and it was like, hey girl, you got to figure it out now. And I was like, me. Oh, you mean I have to figure it out? Interesting. Instead of being afraid of that, I really kind of embraced it. And I think that's why my transition out of college was so smooth. And I think that's almost why a lot of these athletes, the transition from going from having your season cut short to now this season. I mean, these athletes, I feel like every single one of them has just grown tremendously as people, as athletes and coaches. I mean, we're not going to leave any stone unturned. I mean, every single person in the athletic, in any industry, I think this past year has it's really kind of either made you learn to embrace the change or get with I mean, you can either learn to embrace it in a beautiful, positive way, or you got to get with the program. And
totally.
I mean, it's crazy to think that, this time last year as a senior, you would have been getting a call saying, hey, I don't even, how would that phone call even go? No. I don't even know how that would.
I know. And I've heard of stories of like everyone being in such different spots. Like, Madison Koshin tells me that they were on their way back from taping the Ellen DeGeneres show because Nia's routine had just gone viral. And they were at Ellen and they were literally driving in the car back to campus when they got the phone call that like they weren't going to compete again. Ever, as a senior. At Arkansas, when I was there because I was supposed to be at the meet with the team, like we actually, because the way that news started to unfold, the first piece of news was that no parents were in the audience. And so it was like trying to help sift through the emotions of like your senior night without parents and they're here, but they can't be in. And and everything was new. And so then ultimately where they found out was we were on a walk up to Starbucks on campus, and we found out on Twitter because the NCAA had posted like the national championship was canceled, regionals were canceled, and we had found out the SEC championships had already been canceled. So everyone was in a different spot, but nonetheless, the adversity that presented like an interesting way for everyone to turn around and figure out what they were going to do with the last 365 days to now get to a place where actually like when this episode will be posted, like they're competing in the national championship tonight. And like the fact that we have come, full circle, like it's super cool just to be in a position where through all of the adversity, like you got to broadcast from home this year. Like you got to still do many of the things you love and get to pour into the gymnastics community. During a pandemic, during all of the unknowns that were presented this year, like so many industries, as you mentioned, shifted into places where we were able to figure it out. So, I mean, hats off to everyone who was able to like help figure it all out, but also hats off to you to kind of like staying the course, facing all of those challenges emotionally and like what all of the things that were kind of happening in your head that you're just kind of like, I got to be patient. There is no plan in front of me, but I got to be patient. So can you talk a little bit about those challenges a little bit more too and what those were like?
So I think for me personally, I've always looked at challenges as an exciting new kind of almost an adventure, and I think a lot of that stems from my family background. I'm one of 4 kids, and I'm the youngest. So it was a challenging childhood in the best way possible because I always wanted to be with my brothers, with my sister, participating in whatever they were doing. So, those challenges, they made me want to get better. I wanted to compete. I wanted to do what they were doing. And with this last year, I think it would have been so easy for me to just throw in the towel, call my parents, be like, hey, it's not working out down here. I'm moving home. Oh, it would have been that would have been the hands down easiest solution to all of my problems.
Yeah.
But for one, my mother and father would never, if I called them and be, hey, I would like to move home. That's cute. That's cute. They know way better, and I know better that instead of being afraid of what the future had in store for me, I looked at it as, okay, what can I control? All right, so I can control my attitude towards these challenges. I can control I can only control me and my thoughts. Yeah. So I started journaling a lot. And a lot of the challenges that I faced in the work field were just mainly kind of like, I'm not going to be able to go and see. So normally my job, so I work in the construction industry, and I normally will see companies face to face, weekly, monthly. I kind of have rounds that I make sure everything's okay. So that got cut completely out. Like you are no longer going to be doing any type of face to face meeting. Yeah. So instead of thinking, oh my God,
in sales, like in a sales job, no face to face.
No face to face. Yeah. And honestly, the industry FaceTime / like Skype, Zoom, anything would have been really difficult. So in my head, I was like, all right, if I can't do face to face, that means phone calls and emails are going to become my best friend. So what I actually started doing, and I still do this today, and I think it's kind of great. Say I'm going through the day and I write my entire day out in a notebook just so that I can cross it off if something comes up and I can write it down. But I would start doing emails for the next day the night before and just have them in my draft box. So that as soon as I wake up the next morning, they're ready to go. I started doing that, and it became a routine, and it became kind of like, it was great because I never really missed a beat because I had everyone in different sections. I had a calendar that I was like, all right, make sure you hit to all your Tampa locations. No matter who is over there, you hit all of them on this day. And again, instead of being in such a panic of like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? It was like, okay, instead of freaking out and panicking, I took a step back and was like, all right, if I can't do this, we got to figure out something else. And it honestly kind of made me learn to love talking on the phone. I mean, there wasn't a lot of face-to-face interaction. So any type of phone call, again, the companies that I work with have been fantastic. Luckily, the industry that I do work in has been thriving down here. So really nothing necessarily slowed down, but it was just a major transition of, okay, this is what you're used to. Here's the new normal. Yep. Yeah. And it was really cool though, because again, for me being young, I'm very young in the industry. It was exciting to me. Yeah. It's not like I had been doing one thing and my normal was like this for 10, 15 years. I was like, I'm only like a year and a half, 2 years in. Sweet. We changed direction. No big deal. I got this.
Totally.
And we just kind of went with it.
It kind of feels like when you get a new phone case and it's like same phone, but like this new phone case makes everything a little bit more shiny, a little bit more like 100% fresh and interesting.
I love that you just compared my job to a phone case, but that's so accurate.
I mean, it's come on, you've so been there. Like all of a sudden you're scouring like Amazon and you're like, which phone case is like going to be the next one? Entering a new season, you got to like new phone case. Who dis? You know? Yeah. But yeah, no, that all makes sense. I mean, and I think there's so much of what you just said that I think a lot of people will be able to relate to. It's the opportunity that like you just like needed to take everything one step at a time, and you have to be able to ebb and flow in different ways as they come at you, which I think so many people learned that lesson, especially if they were super planners. And then this year when they couldn't be super
Oh my
planners,
gosh.
but what I'm hearing from you is that you figured out ways to still be really organized and really be very planful amongst a season that was not planful, like was not able to be planned in the same way that you had in the past. But I
Mm-hmm.
think like in an effort to like go to the next step of this conversation, which is like the hope that has gotten you to where you're at now, which I think is really cool just to see how you were kind of in this emotional roller coaster in the April month, May month, even. Um, After that, there was, once you figured out that routine, some really cool stuff went down in your life this past year that got you to where you are today. So, can you like think of two specific turning points, and I might add a third or fourth if I feel like I just like am proud of some of the moments that you've had this past year. But what are two turning points of the last year that brought you hope to get you to where you are today?
Oh gosh. Two turning points? Huh. Well, I think the biggest one is I bought a house,
That is a
which
huge
was,
turning point.
it was just, and it was something that I told when I first moved to Orlando, and I knew, okay, Orlando's going to be my home for a while. I really love it here. I knew that I didn't want to pay, I didn't want to live in an apartment forever. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm a house person. I'm a backyard person. I love hosting. I love doing that stuff. So I was like, all right, by the time we're 30, and I moved here when I was 25, I was like, by the time I'm 30, I want to buy a house.
Yeah.
So we bought a house at 28, which was a huge accomplishment for me. And just, I never understood the whole be proud of what you own. Oh, you best believe I am proud of this house.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there is nothing that gives me more joy than someone that walks my front door and just says, oh, it's so homey. I'm like, that is the
Yay.
nicest thing you could say.
Yeah.
And it was, like, that was a major turning point to me. And it really kind of kickstarted this whole, like, you can do anything you put your mind to. I
Yeah.
said I want to buy a house before I'm 30. Guess what? I bought a house before I was 30. And I mean, that was definitely the biggest turning point. And it also allowed me to be excited about work. I have an amazing home office now. I have I have a beautiful kitchen. I have an amazing backyard. Like, it got me excited about getting kind of back. I felt like, I would say August, June, July, August, those 3 months, very, it was kind of like a lull period. I was very, I don't want to say unhappy. I wasn't unhappy, but annoyed. I was annoyed that I was doing the same thing every single day. And then I would get annoyed with myself that I'm annoyed because I was like, everyone else is doing this. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not alone here, but it was very frustrating. So buying the house was a huge step to like, hey, we got this. Like, you've worked your butt off to get here. We're not stopping now.
Yeah.
So that is a huge point for me. I was about to say I paid off my car, but that happened 2 years ago.
Well,
which was a big moment for me. I was very excited about that.
It is. For me, the two other turning points I think were, you have recently signed on to be an ambassador for a company that has provided you some incredible inspiration lately.
Yes.
And I would say that, like, from a mental shift perspective, you didn't think that signing on as an ambassador for a company would bring you such passion and such a mental shift is the best way to put it. So can you speak a little bit about your opportunity with BPN?
Yes. So I had the opportunity to become an ambassador for Bear Performance Nutrition, also known as BPN. And I knew it was going to be a little different simply because I've worked with supplement companies in the past, and just the vibe was different, and the overall community outlet was very different. And something that I have always been passionate about is a community. I mean, that's why I love CrossFit so much, is because I love the community. It's why I love gymnastics so much. I love the community. So with BPN, at first, you know, I have this phone call with this gentleman named Adam Clank, and I'm like, I don't know who you are, but sure, I would love to hop on the phone with you. Of course, me being me, I do a little research, and I was like, oh, you're like a really good CrossFit athlete. I see. Okay. Dots are being connected. I'm like, oh. And so I get on this phone call with Adam, and within, I would say 30 seconds, I was like, this company is amazing. I mean, it was just an instant connection to what he was not even preaching, but just the values that BPN has and just what they represent. I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, absolutely. And their whole thing is go one more. And that is it's a strong saying now that I am a part of the company, and we have weekly Zoom meetings, and I love them. And it's something that at first I was like, this is so weird. Like, why am I going to get on a Zoom call for an hour with these strangers?
Well, it's not normal for a normal ambassador program. To like have something weekly like that. Usually it's a lot of, hey, can you post this? Hey, can you do this for us? It's a lot of like, we want you to do things for you, but you're getting so much value out of these like Tuesday night phone calls.
And I think that's something that, you know, that BPN really, I mean, they take into consideration you. Like, you are a human being. You are not dollar signs to them. You are not, like, they look at you as an individual who is going to grow, is going to become a bigger, better version of themselves, and they want to help you get there. So 2 meetings ago, and I remember texting you right after the meeting, you know, we wrote down where we see ourselves in 5 years. I can honestly say I have never been asked that question, or I haven't been asked that recently. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, 5 years?
It could be a scary question. That's like
5 years from now, I'm like, well, shoot, I'm 28. So I'm like 29, 30, 31, 32. Oh, I'm like 33. I'm like, where will I be? You know, I was like, I don't know. And it really made me think in this really cool, authentic, almost spiritual way. Like, it was totally just the broadest question that really my brain started ticking. And all of a sudden these goals started like, hey, we really want to do this. Hey, remember this goal that we had a couple years back that kind of got pushed to the back because things were happening? Okay, fine. And all of a sudden I was writing things down, and I was like, this is what I want to do. And I don't think I would have had that kind of shift if it weren't for that meeting. If it weren't for Adam saying, all right, guys, here's a question. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? And it was like, I just remember I sat there and I was like, huh? I was like, you want to, literally, I'm like, wait, you want to know where me? You're like, I haven't thought about it. Right. And we started, and honestly, he was like, all right, everyone's going to say something. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, please don't call me. Please don't call me. Please don't call me. So I ended up gathering some courage, and I was like, I'll go next. And I said my spiel. And then I was like, and after the call, I was like, you know what? I can dig deeper. I can be way more specific. I was like, I can take this and make it into little smaller ones, smaller goals. So it was a very, very cool experience. And again, I'm on a call with people across the US from so many different backgrounds, many different stories. And it's really cool when you all have a common, we are in the same community, but we all come from very different backgrounds. And we've all kind of been, I've noticed we've all been kind of like tapping into each other's backgrounds a little bit for either assistance, just to chat. I mean, it has been a very cool experience so far, and it's only been a couple weeks. Yeah. I mean,
it's just so cool. It's so cool to see that kind of, for me, and, you know, walking closely with your life a little bit, it's like seeing that, yeah, there was cool moments of like, you made the most of at-home workouts last year. You like figured out ways to continue to inspire the next generation of young gymnasts last year. You bought a house last year. You got to broadcast from home this year. And like, there have been really cool moments, but when it comes to like character development and continuing to push yourself to be the best that you possibly can be, like this opportunity for me has been one that we've consistently chatted about enough that I knew that like from a turning point towards hope for where you're at now, I think that is something that you look forward to a lot. And it's just like good to like, I'm grateful for it in your life because of how retrospective and forward thinking it really is to help guide you into some spaces that I don't know that are very easy for us to like choose to go there personally. But it's been really cool to watch that unfold.
Thanks. I mean, it's one of those things that you just never know, you know, and with last year just being so full of the unknowns, again, I take it back to like, instead of looking at it as being afraid and being scared of it, like I kind of took or have been taking challenges just head on. And it's like, all right, here's the cards that you're dealt. Here's what we got in front of us. Nothing has to happen right this second. And I think that's something that I've totally changed. I used to be very reactive, very reactive. And if something didn't go my way, it was like triggered. And now I have a much better understanding of listening, which, you know, 28 years old, we finally got that under wraps. Really proud of myself there.
Hey.
But also just absorbing instead of being so like, oh my God, what are we going to do? It's like, okay, hold on. We're going to take a deep breath. We're going to take a moment. Like I gave myself and I continue to give myself moments. Hey, I'm just having a moment. Give me 5 minutes. Let me compose myself and then we will have a conversation. And that I apply that to my work field. I apply it to friends, family. I mean, it really has helped me grow as a mature adult. I mean, it's about time. I'm almost 29, so it's probably time.
We still have a couple more months until 29.
Yeah, we do. You're so right.
We are so not there yet. Okay. No, it's super cool. It's super cool. Okay, so to round out this conversation, there's honestly so much more that Bridget and I could sit here and talk to you guys about, but we wanted to give you guys a little bit of an understanding of what Bridget's last year has looked like. But as we ask every guest that is on the 1YL podcast, our final question, Bridget, did your 1 year ago self believe that you could be here 1 year later?
No. No. I think my 1 year ago self thought maybe it could happen, but I don't think I believed I would be who I am today, where I am today, own the things that I own today a year ago. And I genuinely think all of that had to do with the mindset. And not even necessarily what I believed in, but who I believed in. I was notorious for always believing in everybody else around me, but believing in myself was really hard for me sometimes. In the athletic world, very easy. In the work world and in the, you know, you go outside of the gym and you're like, whoa. I mean, that Bridget has come a long way in believing in herself, appreciating what she has to offer, you know, not really standing in the back anymore. Because I'm just here so I don't get fined. I'm just kind of hanging out. And now it's kind of like, hold on. I have a lot of qualities that could benefit you, and I have a lot to offer you. Let's have a conversation.
So cool. It's so cool. Well, I'm stoked that you got here 1 year later. Truly.
Me too.
Yeah.
Man.
It's been fun. Okay, well, there's one thing that I was gonna just choose to tease on this while we're both here. There is a project that Bridget and I have been working on for the last almost
Almost a year, it seems
almost
like.
year,
Right?
like 9 months or so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for the past 9 months, we have been working on a very special project that we are going to be able to talk about in just a couple weeks. But I want you guys to stay tuned because what I'll say about it is that 9 months ago, the two of us didn't have any skills or abilities to be able to do what we're going to be able to release. And I think it's really cool because as I look back on my last year, it's a true testament to making sure you surround yourself with people who fill in those gaps that
Oh my God.
are
Yes.
the knowledge that you don't have personally, but enable you to grow and to be outside of yourself in a way that will allow you to create something that, like, never in my wildest dreams did I think that, like, putting our heads together we would be able to do what we did. So the team of people that we've been able to work with this really special project, I hope that all of you guys will see some really cool hard work come to fruition that you guys will get to purchase.
Woo!
So it'll be fun, and it'll be also fun because then we can finally start talking about it and the cat will be out of the bag.
I'm really bad with secrets, so this has been like really hard.
Yeah, for sure. There's like a very select group of people who have been part of the process of helping to refine the product that you will be able to purchase. But we're just grateful for that team, and it's exciting to get to have that come out. But
absolutely,
Bridget, thanks for being on 1YL.
Of course, thanks for having me.
Of course. And tonight, if people are watching this on the day that it's posted, tonight it's the big dance in the sport of NCAA gymnastics. So
Four on the floor
is happening, and I am so excited just to be glued to the TV and watching it. Are you going to be on your couch making sure that you give it a watch?
I mean, my mother will be here, so absolutely. I'm sure we will definitely be giving it a watch.
Yeah, Mother Mary definitely wants to be in on the action. She always
she loves to be in on everything. She's one of those that's like, what'd you say?
Oh. Okay. Just noting it in the back of my head.
Oh, okay. It's back here. Like, oh, Mom.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, well, Bridge, thanks for being on 1YL. I feel like we teased enough about what we needed to tease. We got to hear some really cool pieces of the last year of your life. And if I haven't told you already, I'm very proud of how you have come through the last year in ways that have built incredible character, have continued to inspire people along the way. And you're chasing goals that I don't even think you believed in yourself that you could accomplish. So you got to just keep it.
But here we are.
Keep going. We are goal chasers. And I'm going to finish with the line you probably were expecting me to finish with. I'm glad that we are on the energy bus together.
Corey, you are my energy bus buddy. Yeah, we sit next to each other on the energy bus.
Can you see it?
I do. Oh,
I know.
I haven't read it this year. It's definitely time.
Yeah, it's coming over that time. Maybe we'll read it together. If you guys haven't read The Energy Bus, you got to read it. Okay.
You got to put it on your list. It's super corny and cheesy, but it really hits home in so many ways.
This is not an ad.
This is not an ad, but it is a great book. Mine does not look like that because I've literally read it so many times and it has been shoved into my bag. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I need to read it now.
Okay. Guys, thanks for tuning in today. Bridge, thanks for being here. And as always, tune in every day in the month of April for another episode of 1YL to hear another way that someone has come through adversity, change their world around them. So, till next time, we'll talk to you guys later.